All right, good evening. I'd like to call to order the Howell Township Council regular meeting for Tuesday evening, January 18th, 2011. Have an opening statement and roll call, please.
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular meeting of the Howell Township Council was provided for in the following manner: by the posting of a copy of said notice upon the bulletin board in the Township Municipal Building on January 1, 2011. By the faxing of a copy of said notice to the Asbury Park Press, Tri-Town News, and Star Ledger for publication on January 1, 2011. By the filing of a copy of said form of notice in the Township Clerk's office on January 1, 2011. The public will be allowed to attend and will be allowed to participate pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. The public is reminded that civility and decorum will be maintained during the meeting. Any contracts awarded at this meeting or between now and the next meeting will be required to comply with the requirements of Public Law 1975, Chapter 127. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code, be advised that this facility is designed with 3 emergency exits for your safety. The locations are as follows. Upon exiting the meeting room to the rear, they're to immediate left and immediate right, and at the front of the meeting room at the left of the dais. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in the municipal building. Please take note that this meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Television. Roll call, Mrs. Clark.
Present.
Mr. Gatto.
Present.
Mr. Nicastro.
Here.
Mrs. Smith.
Present.
Mayor Walsh.
He'll be a little bit delayed. Ms. Schlegel, do we have reason to go into executive?
Yes, sir. Potential litigation, Decina. Litigation, Martin versus Bank of America. Extra Space LLC versus Township of Howell. Elon versus Township of Howell. And Contracts Public Defender.
Ms. Wallman, could you please read the resolution for executive session?
Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell is authorized pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 to exclude the public from that portion of this meeting for purposes of discussing specific matters as permitted by NJSA 10:4-12. Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell intends to discuss certain matters which are deemed confidential pursuant to NJSA 10:12. Whereas at this time, the governing body of the Township of Howell cannot determine the time when the discussion to be held in executive session will be made public, but will disclose the minutes of executive session when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Howell that this meeting shall be adjourned to an executive session, and the public will be excluded in order that the governing body of the Township of Howell may discuss the items previously listed, and upon reconvening this public meeting, the presiding officer will announce, if possible, the time when and the circumstances under which a discussion conducted in executive session will be disclosed to the public.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
For the benefit of the public, we'll return from executive approximately 7:30 p.m.
Call the meeting in order. Will all please stand for the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you all please remain standing in silent observation for our troops that are fighting all over this world, and for the officer and his family who passed away just this weekend over in Lakewood. Me personally, I'll be praying for his soul and for his family. Ask God to intervene and help them get through this trying times. Executive session minutes from tonight's meeting can be disclosed to the public when need for confidentiality no longer exists. First, we have acceptance of minutes of previous meetings. December 14, 2010, workshop and regular meeting, executive, and that's it.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Have a roll call, please, Ms. Woolman.
Mrs. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nicastro?
I have to abstain.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Walsh?
Yes. For the township's officials, While we move it around a little bit, Ms. Woman, anything to report tonight?
Nothing, sir.
Did I catch you off guard over there? Stephen, you with us? What do you have for us, sir?
I'd like to talk about Code Red. It's our system we have in place. I'd like to encourage a lot of the residents to sign up for that who haven't. They can access it by going to the township website at www.twp.howell.nj.us. And if you scroll to the bottom, there's a little Code Red sign. They can click on that, sign it up. We have about 10,000, almost 10,000 users that submitted it. We'd like to get to that number and above. If they don't have internet access, they can give me a call at 732-938-4500, extension 2107, and I could register them through the phone, and I'd be glad to help them out.
Is there a possibility that, is the messenger still going out?
No, it's not.
Okay.
We are, though, working on a electronic newsletter from the township.
Any chance maybe in the tax bills next time it goes out, the mention of that could go?
We'll look into that.
Okay. I have had some people say they'd like to know how to sign up, and I don't know whether they watch. I think the ones they watch complaining. So, Ms. Slagle, anything for us, ma'am?
Quickly, I just wanted to mention that the disposal of electronics or e-waste, as it's known, is banned from New Jersey landfills. So as a service to our residents, we are working with Monmouth County to have a container at our recycling center at no cost to be installed by March 2011. I will keep you and the residents updated as to where we are with that, as we confirm. But it's important to remember that they must be recycled. They are not allowed to be thrown away.
Computers, computer screens.
Televisions, very important. New mandate.
Okay.
That's it for me, Mayor.
You had a busy enough 2 weeks. Ms. Kingman, would you enlighten us today?
I just wanted to let everybody know that our court administrator and our judge are in the process of updating their local violations bureau schedule, which will allow residents to pay those local ordinance summonses that they receive online. This is a process that takes some time. They began it in November, and the estimated turnaround time right now is 2 weeks to get it to Judge Lawson, who has to approve it, and then it goes back to Trenton, and they'll enter the fees, and that's about another 10 days turnaround time. So anybody that's received, in the future, if they receive tickets for the portable basketball that should have been removed and weren't, or the parking violations, or some various other code violations that are on our books, they'll be able to pay those online without a court appearance being required. It's just a timing issue right here. And it's an arduous process that I know that Dominic and Judge Kaplan are going through.
So we're looking at least a 6 to 8 week process for the whole thing?
I would say max 6 to 8 week process. I would anticipate a little bit under that. Hopefully there won't be any snow before that. I said hopefully.
Friday.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
But I wanted everybody to know that, because I know that some residents were contacting the manager's office as well as the governing body, inquiring as to why they had to appear in court to pay these violations. And it's simply because our schedule hadn't been updated in quite some time, and this is the process that we have to go to do that. Otherwise, we certainly wouldn't have made everybody appear.
Do we have different levels of fines, whether it's a first offense, second offense, third offense?
Well, we have a sliding scale. So what our code enforcement officers have discussed with the judge is that once this is in place, the first go-around will be a $150 violation fine. After that, they'll keep track of those individuals who receive tickets. In the event of another storm and more violations going out, they'll compare that list and try to keep track of habitual offenders, so that those habitual offenders will get a court appearance required.
Mr. Filiaccio, how do you do, sir?
Good evening, Ms. Mayor. One item to report. If all the stars line up and everything falls into place, we are planning to go live with our credit cards on February 1st.
The stars will align.
And for the benefit of public, may I ask, what things will be paid online?
Nothing will be available online at this point in time. It'll take a little bit longer
Okay.
to get the web page put up and the forms put on it. But right now,
Credit card.
we'll be able to accept credit cards face to face.
Yes. And for taxes
For taxes.
and
for-
what? Everything. Pretty much
Everything.
everything in the town.
Mhm.
Okay, excellent.
And how long of a project do we think, as we know, as you've been exploring it and doing all the things that's necessary, how long do you think it'll be before they'll be able to pay them online?
We're going to ramp that up. We're working mostly on recreation right now because they have the program that lends itself to rapidly connect that with credit cards. And of course, we would like to get that up and running before springtime when they have all the registrations. So that is in the works. It's just a matter, it's going to take a little bit more time to build and build the interface on the web page and everything. And from there, we will build probably a department at a time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Filiacci. Mr. Nunziata, how are my roads?
Well, actually, today was the first day that it wasn't snow complaints or pothole complaints that were the number one complaint. Today it was the flooding and the water. I just wanted to say quickly that when we do get the calls, it's either anybody out in the field, whether it's code enforcement or public works or any of my staff or any of the inspectors that can go out and say, verify where they are. We're trying to address them, and there were a lot of them today. Part of the problem is on the rural roads, you can almost clear from edge to edge or gutter to gutter because you can put the snow on the sides and the grass. In the developments, they're not really curb to curb yet. And the fact that you may have a sidewalk and there's only 3 feet of space between the curb and the sidewalk, there's a lot of snow and there's no place to put it. So we try to get the drains opened up. Sometimes the leaves freeze in there so the water can't get to the edge. It stays in the middle of the road or runs down, the travel lane. So if residents have drains in their developments, they know where they are. If they could help us out, try to keep them clean. That's what we're going to be facing, I think, for a while now because probably more snow's coming and, it's going to be cold, it's going to melt, you get the snow melt, you get the rain, and that is probably our biggest challenge now is trying to keep the roads, the water off the roads as well as the snow.
Who you been talking to about snow, Mrs. Smith?
Well, we actually have over 4,400 storm drains, so there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, there's a puddle in front of my house. Do I need to fill something out, Ms. Schlegel? Yeah, there's a puddle.
I suggest that you go out there and brush it around.
Mop it up.
Might work.
I'll take it under advisement from my wife. Councilwoman Smith.
Firstly, I'd like to thank all the staff for the hard work and good job done on in the recent storms. It was very pleasant for a change not to get phone calls either at home or on the extension here. That means everybody's okay. Thank you. Also, I don't know if I'll let Rob take this over or not, but Rob and Mr. Nicastro and I were speaking about this as several other of us. The affordable housing bill and the changes and the we just heard when we came in, I think McKenna said that the bill was withdrawn from the governor's desk, so it's not going to happen immediately. Is that?
That's my understanding.
Whatever, but what Bill and I were wondering, excuse me, Rob, we haven't mentioned it to Bill yet, but I'm sure he'll agree, that if we have we'd like to see our co-op planner come in and explain some things to us. We'd like to ask him to come to a meeting and discuss so that we understand some of the pros and cons. For instance, the whether or not we should object along with the League of Municipalities to understand their objections to this bill and a few things like that.
We probably should get him a copy of our fair share plan
Well, that
and anything else he might need. I'll give him a call tomorrow.
well.
And how much it will cost.
Well, he's going to have to review it either way.
He'll have to review it anyway. We're going to have to work on it.
No, absolutely.
And I'm sure we could have him, ask him to come at a specific time and stop the meeting for when he's here and make an appointment and spend some time, because it's money well spent. It's better than throwing it away on lawsuits and, or having to zone something that we don't want to zone, or putting one extra penny on the backs of our taxpayers from this nonsense.
Why don't we
affordable
get him
housing.
the copy of the fair share plan, and when he feels comfortable that he's reviewed it, that he could then come in? We'll ask him to come to one of the council meetings. Is that the direction in the governing body?
Well, that's what I'd like to see anyway.
I don't know, Councilwoman Smith didn't include me in the beginning of her conversation,
Well,
so my feelings are a little bit hurt at this time. So, no, I don't want to see him. No, we should get some clarity. I mean, I know, Councilman Castro as the vice chair of the planning board master plan was down at COA with me approximately a year and a half ago, probably.
Right.
And I don't even believe our plan's accepted yet, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it was not certified.
Okay, it was not certified. Okay.
Well, technically,
also-
no plans are.
Yeah,
Right
we
now, no
also
plan.
need to address another issue pretty soon, is what we're going to do with the money that's in the Affordable Housing Trust. Because just some rumbles down there that any of your money in your trust will have to be use it or lose it. So it's something that we need to, I do agree with Councilwoman Smith, we need to have our co-planner here, and maybe our co-attorney, and
We'll reach out to them and see what's,
and let's see what's going, let's get a good handle on what's going on with it now. COA's out, you hear down in Trenton, COA's still there down in Trenton. I really don't know. A year and a half ago, I know we went down, sat in front of council down in Trenton, and that's about the last correspondence I've received. That was definitive.
maybe we'll try for February 15th.
Oh, no, that's the day after Valentine's.
If that's enough time, we'll ask him.
You know what? I'll get him the plan and anything else he needs that maybe the old firm had, that they have copies of, and get that over to him. And I want to sit down with them too and go over a few things with them, and then we'll have him come in and go over what his take is going to be on it, at least with the influx of what the law is right now.
Maybe the next workshop, actually, might be better.
And Mayor, just so you know, although S1, the bill S1 got passed through the Senate, we're still waiting for the governor to see if he's going to sign or not. But preliminary, it looks like our numbers are going to go up a little bit, and that's why I think we want to have the COA plan to look at this to tell us if our numbers are going to go up. And then I would even say that since the league is not supporting this, maybe we want to do a resolution, or it might be even too late, I'm not sure, but they recommend that we call legislators and not support this. I'm not going to support if our numbers are going to go up, obviously.
Well, didn't we just receive a letter from Senator Lesniak asking us to send something to the governor, asking him to sign it?
I didn't get
Not
anything.
sign it.
To not sign it.
Not to sign it.
Right.
Not to sign it.
Senator Lesniak said not to sign it.
I'm pretty sure that all of the municipalities are
Gets to-
urging.
But it's
the
his
governor.
bill. Now he doesn't want it signed.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lesniak, yes, I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm thinking of
As soon
Singer.
as possible, we need our COA attorney, if the governing body agrees, and our
Absolutely.
COA planner in these chambers to tell us exactly what's going on, what's up and what's down, so we need to make some educated decisions. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Yep.
Councilwoman Smith, anything
Yes,
else?
please. Well, since for some reason my voice seems to be failing, I think Bill's going to handle this one. Will you take Colt's neck, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I got it right here. We're good.
Okay. Other than that, my sympathies go out to the police officers, family, and I hate to say it, but I know what it feels like to lose a child, grown child, and his fiance. And unfortunately, I won't be able to be there. I can't deal with it physically or emotionally, but my prayers are with them, and I wish them all peace and love.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman DeCosta?
I just want to extend my condolences to the family of Lakewood Police Officer Chris Matolis. I understand that he went to Howell High School. He was an explorer in Howell, and from all accounts, that he was a great police officer. And it's always tough, you know, losing a member of the law enforcement. So my condolences to his family. And I want to also thank the DPW and all the staff. I know this past snowstorm we activated a snow room, kind of like an emergency room. By all accounts, it was very successful. There are still some things that we're working on, communications and stuff like that, but what a great difference. And you know, I want to thank the police and OEM and DPW and the Fire Bureau that staffed it. I mean, they really did a good job. MIS stayed over, so hats off to them, and we're just going to build on this. But as many could see, that it was a great improvement on how the storm was handled. So and Helene. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Council?
Thank you. I, like everyone else, certainly want to extend my condolences. This is just a really dark time to think a neighboring town, an officer, someone from our community, had just the most brutal, awful, senseless thing. And exactly what you're saying, all accounts are, I think the chief said he brought out the best in all of us. And to see someone like that die so tragically is just, it's pretty much beyond comprehension. So I want to extend my condolences. I also, I know that the officers in this town put a lot of their resources, their heart, when something like this happens in the community, to see people rise to the occasion and give their time, just truly commendable. You know, exactly what a lot of people have said tonight about our staff, certainly the police officers, but DPW, all of the people in the snowstorm. You know, we get these emails from people indicating my road is not plowed, and to hear from some of the employees and some of the difficulties in terms of the equipment malfunctions that we know about, and the amount of long hours that they put in. I certainly personally want to thank everybody. We do appreciate, we do acknowledge all the hard work that they do. Certainly the emails and the comments probably make them feel that they're not appreciated, but as much as we hear that, we hear a lot of really good things about the town, employees, and all of the work that they put in, and there really has been a real positive for this last storm. I've heard a lot of people say to me, I am so, who's this Helene Schlegel person? I've got these emails, and it's just a great source of information. So I appreciate the fact that you bring this up to us, because it is important to get the information out. So yeah, I appreciate the effort that you've put into this, as well as the staff, and certainly extend our thanks to them, because we do appreciate them very, very much. Tough times all around, and it's nice to see that people are coming together in a positive realm. So with that being said, I hope we have a good and positive meeting. Everyone come up here, and you know, we certainly appreciate the criticism. We want to be better. We want to do it all better. And I think by hearing things to make it better, it's great for us. But we also need to keep it, you know, be respectful, and remember that the citizens and the people that are working in this town are doing their best. And I think it's important to always be respectful, certainly in light of our holiday that we just had. So with that being said, back to you.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, Mayor. My comments on Officer Matlos are a little more personal, because I didn't know him, but I didn't have to. You know, we struggle all the time trying to figure out who our real heroes are, and when you have an incident like just recently happened, as well as what we all experienced a couple of months ago with Trooper Castellano, you know, I guess I would ask you all to go out of your way when you see one of our officers and just thank them, because they live this every day. I don't believe Officer Matlos thought that he was never going to see his family again when he went to work that day. And I think we really take that for granted. And just because he was a Lakewood officer, he wasn't a Howell officer, he was one of us. He was a member of one of our emergency service organizations. He was a member of the Howell First Aid Squad. He graduated from Howell High School. He cut his teeth in law enforcement with the Howell Police Department. So we owe him a large debt of gratitude. But we also owe all of our police officers and everybody who puts that uniform on every day a major debt of gratitude. So let's not let this bad opportunity to go by and not do the right thing and thank the people who are out there protecting us every single day. I also would like to thank the workers and the staff. As many of you know, I tend to get a little involved on the snow side.
Nah.
It was one of our issues when we started all of this a long time ago, and you know, I'm very happy to say that it's one of the things that I think we've honestly turned the corner in the level of professionalism on the services that we promised we were going to deliver to our residents. No longer, if you have a complaint about my street not being plowed, it doesn't go to DPW in line with 7 other phone calls that are all coming in at the same time. It's going to an emergency operations center, and it's being logged and it's being tracked. We know where our plows are. We know who's on staff. We know who our relief crews are. We're organized. Now, that doesn't go to say that if we have another 30-inch storm that we're not going to have problems, because we will. But I can tell you today that I feel a whole lot more comfortable that we've turned the corner on how we handle snow and other weather-related emergencies. And quite honestly, I think just about any emergency we should have. That structure is going to be in place for any major event that we have to deal with in this town. So I want to thank the people that had the boots on the ground doing the job, obviously, because they do that all the time, anytime. But the changes that we've made in a very short period of time through the Office of Emergency Management, through our administration, it's significant. And you don't realize it until you start getting the successes, and we are getting the successes. We went from many, many bad phone calls and emails, all of which were justified when you get a storm of 30 inches, to almost unilateral praise for what we did and the way we handled the phone calls and the way we handled that situation. So even though the magnitude is less, I feel pretty confident that when we get the next one, you're really going to start to see us shine. So thank you to everybody who had a hand in that. Couple odds and ends. Can you give me a little rundown on where we are with the sewer assessment project? And I understand there's some appeals going on, and
the consultants, we sent out a letter to all the property owners. Consultants had a meeting set up, and the property owners had until January 15th in order to provide all the information and you know, meet with the engineers as far as the assessment. We are now at the revision stage, if you will. The engineers are now looking at the lots of the people that met with them, and I expect that we should get a revised report in a short period of time. I don't think it's going to take that long for them to revise the report and get it out to us.
And that's the last part of the equation in order for us to start collecting revenue?
No, you have to have a confirmation, another confirmation hearing.
Okay.
And you'll have to officially set those those assessments at a council meeting.
Okay. And the last thing I have is we received an email I don't believe she's a resident, but it has to do with a DEP hearing that's being held relative to Trump National Golf Club of Colts Neck submitting a water diversion permit plan. And apparently this project would have a impact on a portion of our community because they are looking to divert water, which is a source of going into the Swimming River Reservoir, which is partially in Howell Township.
Correct.
So due to the late nature of the email and notification, given the fact that the public hearing is tomorrow, I think it's the 18th, 19th? I think it's the 19th. It's going to be tough for us to be there, obviously, but if there's any way that we can put together some type of a letter in support of the documentation that we got relative to the negative impacts of this on our municipality, as defined by the letter we received from the Township of Colts Neck, I think we should be doing that.
If that's the direction of the governing body, what we can do is put correspondence together, and we can fax it over, and hopefully we'll get to them before the hearing begins. Does it have a time? I'm sorry, I don't have that email with me.
Scheduled for January 19th, 2011 at 1 p.m. at the Colts Neck Township Municipal Building.
Oh, we can get it to the municipal building prior to 1 p.m. That's not a problem if that's what you would like to do.
Okay.
Ms. Kingdon can draft something.
I could also call Tim Manfuso. He's the zoning and planning officer over there, and see what his take is on it and what he thinks is going to happen, or what his feelings are, and what everybody else has done in response to that notice.
Well, this letter came from me from Bob Bowden, isn't it? Is that the
Yes,
administrator?
that's the administrator.
Yeah, it came to me, and I brought it in for Councilwoman Smith to look at. I know her and that fine young stallion who she's married to, Don Smith, are very familiar with the environmental issues here in Howell Township. So I brought it in for them to look at, and I didn't know how to take it. It's pretty vague. So for me to say I'm for it or against it, I really would need more information. I trust Councilwoman Smith that she says it's not a good thing, but I just don't have information there.
Well, if you would like, we can, as I said, we can prepare correspondence, fax it over, as well as verbally speaking with Ms. Kingdon said she can call over to the planning office and express our feelings on the matter.
Okay.
Well, the scope of the project is taking large volumes of water from aquifers, which Mr. Anfuso put in his note, in his letter, which was an attachment. That's why I didn't see it until now. And that will adversely affect the water supply, specifically during low point drought situations, which seems to be his #1 concern. So that in amongst itself seems like that should be enough of a reason for us to stand with them to not support that.
And they don't support it, they're against this, correct?
They are against it because of the depletion of the water supply.
Yeah,
Yes.
taking the water from the
Well, didn't we have a little bit of a drought last year where it was every other
Yes.
day? Well, we don't need nobody else taking some of our water and causing more hardship. I'm for that then.
Councilman, if you give it to me, I'll reach out to them, and this way I
Absolutely.
have some backup for it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
And that's
And we'll
it for
follow
me.
it in writing.
Just a couple little things. Me personally, I had the privilege of meeting a young man from Lakewood, Officer Matalos. Chris worked out in the gym with us, and I didn't know it was him at first until my wife walked downstairs and I was crying on Saturday morning because there was a picture of him in the paper, and I didn't know his last name. I talk to people every day, but I very rarely know people's last names. And he was a very nice young man, very dedicated to serving his community. It's a tremendous loss. What happened and why it happened, just a senseless death, that will alter a family's life for for generations. My prayers are with them. I'm very thankful that nobody else was hurt. I know there was a statewide manhunt, and I had been in contact with the mayor of Lakewood a couple times, stayed in constant contact with the manager, spoke to the chief, kept us filled in, and I am very thankful that no other officers were hurt in the apprehension of this criminal. So, very sad thing. I like to see a waste of life. And bothered me greatly. I had spoken with him many, many times in the gym. Not to make light of it, but, you know, in the gym, it's not like I work out the whole time I'm there. I spend a lot of time chatting with people. I really enjoy going to the gym. I get to meet many, many people. And I also give them a break from working out so they can chat with me. But I'd spoken with him many times and enjoyed my conversations, and I'll miss him, and I hate what happened. It's not something that shouldn't go on. And I've spoken with a lot of my friends in law enforcement since then, both in Howell and outside of town, and it's a tragic loss to all of them. I was told that there was great cooperation amongst towns, county, state, federal agents, and everybody working together towards one cause. So, me personally, I did reach out to the mayor of Lakewood, and I reached out to him the same as I would hope if anything like that happened in this town, they'd reach out to us and offer any assistance. I knew the governing body would be 100% supportive. And I'm sure they would. So, God be with him and his family. I have one other thing, and it is a little bit of a sad note also. And I normally don't do this, but it bothered me greatly. I received something, somebody called and I had to drop something off. There's a benefit on Sunday, January 30th, the congregation Avat Olam on Woodland Road. It's $15 a person. And it's for a 5th grade student at Land of Pines who has brain cancer. And that's what they're raising the money for. Undergoing extensive treatment now at Robert Wood Johnson. And they're having a pasta dinner with gift baskets at Sunday, January 30th at 1 to 5 p.m. at Congregation Ahavat Olam on Windler Road. My prayers are out there for her too. It should be healed. On a good note, tremendous job in the last snowstorm. Ms. Schlegel, you, your whole staff, the DPW, all of you. I was sitting in my computer room and I was smiling and I was singing, and my wife and my kids wondered what I was so happy about. I said, I don't feel this much love at home as I was reading the emails. And it is a difference, as we know, moving 6-7 inches of snow as opposed to moving 30 inches of snow.
Absolutely.
But the system that was put in place, and I think it's tremendous progress, and I'd like to, thank Deputy Mayor Gatto and Councilman Castro. I know they were part of implementing this, and it's a good step in the right direction. OEM, Police Department, everybody in unison working for the good of the citizens of Howell Township. Don't get much better than that. So, I did get numerous phone calls about the tickets for cars and basketball nets. I see somebody's coming up, and that's fine. One of my neighbors got a ticket for a car in the street. He asked me what I could do. I said I could drive him. I was joking with him. I said I can drive you to the courthouse to pay your ticket. Okay, that's what, everyone has to be treated fairly. Another dear friend of mine who's a sheriff had a basketball court on the street. I said it's the law, and of all people, you have to uphold the law. And we're already looking into, it's something that got brought to our attention immediately. Our council, Ms. Kingan, is looking into what we could do differently. It is something that's on the books, and we have to serve the residents of Howell Township to the best of our ability. I don't like in these tough times for anybody to be hurt financially. I don't want to get into particulars, but some of the things that had happened in the previous storm cost the citizens of Howell Township financially because of cars or basketball nets, and this law's been on the books for a while. I just wish that everyone would be in the solution of the problem. And the solution to the problem is to have cars and all other obstacles off the streets during snowstorms. It would make plowing more timely, more efficient, more cost-effective to the residents of Howell Township. I think our workers, I'm not going to say that our workers worked any harder this snowstorm than they did the one a few weeks ago, because I can tell you a few weeks ago they were working round the clock. I did stop down there. No shock to anybody. All I did was bring hot food and tell a couple jokes. I didn't man a shovel, didn't man a plow, but I was there supporting them. They were working very hard. You know, they did all they could. And I just think it was so much better, and it's because the system's put in place. And the same as you catch the flack, when the things go wrong, man, you also deserve kudos when things are going in the right direction. So I think you did a tremendous job. Okay?
Thank you.
Until everybody else with you.
Those are the
Okay.
people that make it happen.
Well, you know what? You deal with that with them. I'll deal with this with you. Okay? All right? I'll just bring them some food and tell them a joke. You take care of the rest.
Okay.
Now we have a meeting. We have a little bit of work to do. Anything else?
No, sir.
I like that with the code red. Let's get as many people on that as possible. I think those updates are tremendous, Stephen. Okay? And as many people on that as possible. Over the next year or two, if we can get 60, 70, 80% of the residents of Howell Township on that code red. Now, I wasn't mad about the phone call this morning that I received from Children's Center in Monmouth County that my son's school was being delayed. It's okay. I got the call at 5:45. I'm all right with that. You know, better than waking up my autistic son at 7. I got to let him sleep till 8, 8:15. I had a little bit of peace, you know. But get as many people on that as possible. The updates are, they're fantastic. Good job. We're going to go right into hearing of public citizens. Do I need to do anything, Ms. Woolman? I'm tired. This time I'd like to open the meeting to the public.
Yes.
From the public, who do we have? It's that young stallion from Vanderveer Road, Don Smith. State your name and address, please, Mr. Smith.
Good evening. Don Smith, 54 Vanderveer Road, Howell Township. Originally, I wanted to speak on the assembly bill that you were discussing before, but I think you pretty well covered that. I had collected these newspaper articles because during the holidays we tend to miss some of this stuff going on, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I think you're taking the right track on that. As the mayor said, I just recently, tonight, got this business from about Colts Neck and Trump National Golf Club. As Colts Neck points out, a very good point, that they want to take that water from the stream from Morrow Brook, which is a Category 1, flows out of Howell through Colts Neck. They want to take water from that, divert it. That's water that goes to a reservoir for drinking purposes. They want to take that water at the same time of the year. They're not going to be doing it year-round, but they want to take it during peak water usage time of the year when American Water is pumping maximum water from that reservoir. I think it's time for a little common sense to prevail. And you don't water the golf course and then subject your residents to restricted water, drinking water. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Their other option that was denied was taking from the Englishtown aquifer, and the DEP denied them the right to take that kind of gallonage from the aquifer. Well, justifiably so, because Colts Neck is not on a municipal water system. They rely on wells, the majority of their wells being in the Englishtown aquifer. And again, you're going to deprive the people of their drinking water just so you can water your grass on a golf course? Now, they do have options available to them according to this letter. They can go into another aquifer, a deeper aquifer, and get permit from the DEP to pump from that at a high gallonage rate. But they don't seem to want to, I don't know whether it's a cost involved or what, but, you know, the public comes first. Let's face it, common sense has to prevail. That's really all I had. But one other thing that it just popped up into my mind, I think a couple of you might bring it up later. I noticed you have an ad on the a resolution for the police cars. And I just happened to look at that before, and I noticed they're charging, the dealer is charging an option of $350 for undercoating. Now, I worked in a Ford dealership from 1971, and undercoating, that was sort of a dealer's gimmick to make money. It cost the dealer roughly about maybe $45, $50 today tops to do that undercoating. So that's a nice perk. But the undercoating, that may be worthwhile if you're going to keep the vehicle for 10 years, but what's the life expectancy of a police car?
Well, let me just say that this is from the recommendation of our chief mechanic, and the reason being is that although we may keep a police car as a police car for 3, 5, 6 years, probably at the max, we then turn them over for other township vehicles. So, for example, I know engineering, I believe, has a car that may be 1999 police car. So what Mr. Sorbonne has said is that he felt that the undercoating keeps the, I'm not a car person, so if I'm saying the wrong, like the chassis from rusting out. Because unfortunately, we take cars that have a 3-year lifespan, and we keep them for 12 and 15 years in other capacities.
Well, you're a GM, man, and you're not a car person.
Well, I'm a car person. No, wait a minute. I'm a car person, but not a mechanical car person.
I thought you were Howell, Marissa Tomei, and my cousin Vinny.
I thought you just put gas in it.
But Helene, you're speaking to a person that has a car
No, I understand.
1955.
This is under the recommendation of our chief mechanic. I mean, that's all I can say. I haven't questioned him on it. I mean,
will he be here during the budget hearings?
yes, he will.
I remember a question for him.
One thing, undercoating is not the way to go in the first place in the Northeast. Rust proofing is the way to go, and there's a world of difference. Undercoating is strictly a sound deadener. In fact, for anybody that collects old cars, the first thing you do is get rid of the undercoating because that traps moisture in any body seams.
I can't argue with you here.
Hold on, Mr. Smith. Let's not be getting into specifics.
But I'm just trying to point out.
You know what? Can I make a suggestion to you? Take the head mechanic out for lunch one day and explain it to him. Okay?
I will ask him about it. We need to,
Yeah.
act on this, but I will get that information for you.
Okay, I'd appreciate it.
I absolutely will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
Could I ask a question?
You can ask him when you get home.
No, it has to do with something we're talking about now. Why on earth, I'm assuming you know from all the years you worked on such things, why would they ship door moldings in the trunk? There's an extra
because
charge.
of because
Because of the
the
striping
police
that goes
departments paint their vehicles, or they put the name
So,
on.
then they would put it, they'd add them on
Some may
later.
not be able to use the door molding.
Okay.
It
I
would
thought it was
interfere
something
with the
simple
paint
like that,
scheme of the
but-
vehicle.
Like I said, you could have asked them when you got home.
That's standard procedure, anyway.
Well, wouldn't have been important then.
Warner Voss Camper. Good evening, sir. State your name and address, please, for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
My name is Werner Voskamper. I live at 29 Snowberry Lane here in Howell and in Pine View Estates, and which is a 55-plus community. And I would like to express my sympathy for the recent tremendous snowstorm for which nobody can really plan for and deal with. However, and I don't want to give the impression that I'm here to criticize. In fact, I'm not. I very much appreciate what effort was made and what trying times these were for the Public Works Department. However, I need to bring some points to your attention. Our community is not yet self-governing. It is still under the builder's control. And unfortunately, I must admit that our communication between the board and the homeowners is not that good. The board put out a one-page letter expressing the difficulty they had in communicating with the township about why we were not plowed out, why Memorial Drive was not plowed out. And our snow plowing equipment could not even get in, and they had to plow themselves in to free one lane to get their equipment in, and as such, they started plowing our development 6 hours later. There has been no response to this, to the homeowners as to what was resolved, and I understand there were multiple contacts with Ms. Schlegel, but I have no substantiation to that fact because there has been no communication.
Yes, there has. I have
understand.
received are you the president of the?
No, I'm not.
Okay, there has been conversation between myself and the president. He actually sent me a very nice thank you that I will forward to you tomorrow.
Yes.
Regarding the plowing of your development. During the 30-inch snowstorm, he had some concerns, which I will tell you that there's probably not a development in Howell Township that did not have concerns. That was a 100-year storm. The response was what we could do with the resources that we had. However, we made vast improvements. And your president, and I'm sorry that I cannot remember his name, and if I knew you were here, I would have had the correspondence.
Mr. Klugovitz.
Yes, yes. Sent me a extremely, extremely nice email thanking us for the work that we have done over there. You need to remember that we have approximately 400 lane miles of roads, and all the roads are prioritized. And in your situation, I know Memorial Drive is important because that's the connector into your development.
Correct.
And I think if you are talking about the 30-inch storm, no one was immediately cleared. It was too much snow to move. We had to bring in some heavy equipment, front loaders and things like that. But I will certainly provide you with the thank you and the correspondence that had gone between myself and your president, because I do take exception to the fact that there was no communication, because there was.
Well, I'm just mentioning it that there was no follow-up communication to this particular letter, and this is an issue that certainly we have to deal with internally, and we do have issues. I prefaced my starting remarks that I fully appreciate the effort that was done. But what has to be recognized is also that apparently a homeowner called the township and was told that Memorial Drive, quote, was not a priority. Now, it is a 50 plus 55 community, and people require assistance. Myself, I'm 76 years old. I have a heart condition. I cannot plow snow. During that particular period, I was also on a 45-day regimen for radiation treatment for cancer. We have people in wheelchairs that cannot at all move themselves, even people with walkers. And the reason why I'm here is because there are some questions as to what the official status of Memorial Drive is. We are not completely clear about it, and I, for one, can be a critic with our board who has not adequately communicated. And in fact, I, as a private citizen, have communicated better with our homeowners than our board, okay? So I very much appreciate your effort, and please do not take this as a criticism, but as an indication. We are a plus 55 community, and we do have people that require care, all right?
And
Sir,
So-
can I just add one thing?
Yes.
As you probably know, several of us were at DPW during the height of the storm when we got calls. I actually did get phone calls from people in your development. I have no idea who they were. It happens to be right behind where I live. There was a conversation about Memorial Drive, and right after we left DPW, the first thing I did is I went over to Cherry. And it's common knowledge that Memorial Drive is not the only road to get to your development. And in fact, Poplar to Cherry to Redbud were completely plowed and were accessible at the height of the storm. So the issue of Memorial Drive, I was a little surprised to see that come up. I mean, yes, Memorial Drive is there as a resource to get from Newton's Corner Road to your development, but it is not the only way to get in and out of your development.
I personally, on the 28th, drove through Pine Street and that development in order to have a prescription filled. And I personally took my van to be a larger vehicle to be seen, but I was prepared to also be stopped because of the inundation of snow, and you know, we cannot prepare for that sort of thing. So I took my chance. I could not have gone out Memorial Drive because our snow plowing contractor had just made an entrance plowing path to get his equipment.
Right, but
in.
I guess that's
Okay.
what I'm kind of
So-
questioning is, why would you have your contractor go through all of that effort when he could have gone, instead of a 1.5 mile long road to access, which we would have to plow for one development, why wouldn't he have gone up the other entrance? And that's a 50-foot long street.
I cannot authoritatively answer that. It may have been blocked up. Memorial Drive is less than a 1/2 mile from Newton Corner Road into our development. So, but this is a decision that they made to get in, because I don't know what the conditions were of the local streets, like Pine Needle Road, which is the main access. And we know, for instance, that the community in that area, residents are very, very much opposed to us using that
Yeah,
road.
but you know what? In a snowstorm with 30 inches of snow, people got to get over that real quick.
Well, I realize this, but you may also know that at the early phase of our development, they actually brought in a Jersey barrier to
Absolutely.
stop traffic, which was totally unauthorized and certainly not neighborly.
I guess the
Okay?
reason I'm bringing it up is I would hope that your residents in your development would understand that for us to have to manually go and use front-end loaders for whatever the length of the road is, a 1/2 mile. A 1/2 mile length road with the equipment that we have in a 30-inch snowstorm would take the better part of half a day to be able to do that entire road. I don't really think that would be a good use of township resources to be able to do that when we can do a 50-foot street and be able to get you all the access that you need. So I would ask you to please go back to your homeowners association and explain to them that, you know, we do what we can to help everybody out, and that was clearly done for your development. And whether or not Memorial Drive should have been plowed, I got to question the wisdom if that was really, should have ever been a priority for us to do Memorial Drive.
You know, but take into consideration, sir, we do fully understand that you're an over 55 development, and access is needed. Okay? And access into the over 55 developments are a priority. We fully understand that. Okay? But to have two accesses, in that storm, we only had the ability to do the best we can to get one access.
Mr. Camper, could I ask you a question? I know you said that you have some residents like yourself or whatever that have health problems and may not be able, you know, have physical, some physical disabilities. Are they aware that there is a list that they could sign up with, for example, with our Office of Emergency Management, so that they know where those people live?
No, we are not aware of
Okay.
this. And here again, I would blame our board, which is
Okay.
still mostly a builder-controlled board. Although we have two members that have been elected by our homeowners, but communication at best leaves a lot to be desired.
Because in our Emergency Operations Center, there was actually a list of people that, throughout the town, that have some health issues or, you know, different things. And there's a list that they have of their names and their addresses, so that they know exactly where they are and they're prepared if something should happen there. So that's one thing that you should probably take back to your homeowners and let them know that, and we can get you that information.
I very much appreciate it.
Also, are you signed up for Code Red? Did you get Code Red phone calls?
I have no idea what that pertains
Okay, let
to.
me ask you a question. Did you get a phone call at your house that would give you that gave you updates on the storm?
No.
That just, okay.
No.
Okay, do you have computer access?
I do.
Okay, then you need to go to our website, okay? And then you look at the bottom left corner, and there's a Code Red alert, and you go in there and you sign yourself up. And then also, there's email alerts, and you want to sign up for important notifications and emergencies.
All right.
So you will get, like, throughout this last storm, I believe there were 5 or 6 email notifications that went out on different items. And you will also get a phone call, let's say, prior to the storm, letting you know that we're expecting a blizzard and, you know, a little bit of information. But I think that would also be helpful to some of your residents.
I would very much appreciate if you provide it to me, and I will see
Sure.
to it that it gets distributed among our homeowners.
Absolutely.
All right.
So I'm going to make an executive decision here, and you'll be getting a phone call tomorrow from Stephen, okay? So you don't have to go through all the rigmarole yourself. You'll be getting a phone call tomorrow from Stephen,
Okay.
and he will sign you up and walk you through it. Because I really appreciate that you're here, okay? Yeah, I know you're here out of concern. You're criticizing us in a gentlemanly way, which is fine. You know, I love to hear from residents how we could do things better.
Well, I understand you can't prepare for this, and I have to acknowledge that the recent storm, I'm sorry, Memorial Drive was plowed very well and
I
in
told
a
you not to
timely
plow
manner.
Memorial Drive.
Okay?
I'm only kidding.
So I need to underline that too, but I would appreciate if the township recognizes the handicapped people that we have, and we have inside our own priority list to deal with individual needs, okay?
We have it right here.
We have it all here.
Yeah,
Now, just a little suggestion,
Sure.
and just a little, maybe could we contact Carol Zor and have her send out a mailer over into that development? Because, okay, here I have a gentleman who seems pretty in tune to things that doesn't know. So I'm sure there's others over there that don't know. There's like 110, 120 homes.
Well, I think
Yeah.
what Stephen can do too is, or Mr. Fetcher, I should say, what he could do is go over to the senior center when they're having something going on. And I don't know if the residents of, I forget the development's name, but if they're involved in the seniors services center. But what he can do is go over when they're having one of their functions, do some code red and email blast signups over there. But
Yeah, the Valentine's Day dance. I got to be on good behavior.
But I do think that what will happen is he can call Mr. Camper tomorrow, get him signed up, give him the information also regarding how to contact OEM and get on that list, okay, where the snow room then or the emergency operations center will have a list of priority. The priority list that you have for your homeowners association or whatever should be on file with our Office of Emergency Management. I think that's very important that happens.
But Stephen is going to be your liaison here.
Okay.
And
All right.
he's going to walk you through all this. Everybody okay with that?
Absolutely.
All right.
And then
So-
any information that you need, okay, then you ask him and he'll be able to get it for you. If he can't provide it for you at that moment, he'll get it for you and he'll get back to you.
We will replace him if he can't get it.
I appreciate your effort, and again, please do not take this as a criticism.
Oh, no, not at
because
all.
This has been a trying area.
How dare
Not
you.
at all.
How dare
I
you
think-
criticize?
It actually brings up a good point, though, that, we're talking about one development, but it's not the only development we have like this in town.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
now that we're starting to get better at what we do, it's another extension of how we should be reaching out to not wait for the comments to come to us, but we should be preventing the comments from coming at all
Right.
by outreaching the developments themselves.
And I recognize geographically, Howell Township is one of the largest
The largest
townships
in Monmouth County.
Second in the state.
in the state.
Yes,
In
and the
state.
largest in the
I'm
county.
fully aware of that, and that you have
64 square miles, like Ms. Schlegel said, over 380 miles of roads.
yes.
I've gotten lost in Howell Township, and I'm the mayor.
But we thank you. And we'll try to help you. We'll try to help you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sir, feel better,
Yes,
okay?
thank
God
you.
bless you.
Thank you.
Well, I love being yelled at nicely. I do. Al Rizzolo. Please state your name and address for the record.
It's Albert Risolo, 17
Risolo,
Jacob
sorry.
Drive, Howell, New Jersey. Okay, Friday I got my ticket, and on my street, there's not a sign posted, there's nothing in the local stores, there's not a banner, no one skywrote it, it's not written in anywhere. There's just nothing at all. I've been living here 12 years and 5 months, and this is the first I have ever heard of this. My basketball hoop is not even in the street. It's on my curb next to a light post. It's been there for at least 5 years. Nothing ever happened. We had a lot of snow, everybody knows. When the plows came down the street that first day, he couldn't even get in. He got to the middle of my neighbor's house, he had to stop because it made a 5-foot wall. he
So
had
what's
to
your
stop.
address, please?
I'm sorry?
What's your address, please? sir?
17 Jacob Drive. Okay, then the next day they came, the next night. That was Tuesday. My neighbors and I were outside shoveling, get our driveways out. That night, the plow came down the street. But when he came down the street, he came down the center of the street. He didn't come against anybody's curb, not on my side, not on the next side. I went through the neighborhood, everybody's checking to see, can we get out of here? I had to get to work. So everybody was centered down the street. Nothing was up against the curb. There's nothing that I saw. I've talked to my neighbors. Some of them never heard of it. On the way over here tonight, I went around the corner. I saw there are several people. Actually, there's 6 basketball hoops, and there's one car plowed in where you come in from Memorial Drive. But by the way, I got to make a note of this. 5 years ago, when that road was put in, when we were told, and not that it really, I only come out of that street now, but because of the way it's situated, that was supposed to be Wall Township's problem, from what we were told. So whenever fire, rescue, anybody, it was supposed to be Wall Township's
That's
issue.
not true. That's not true.
Okay, all right, but way back when, that's what they were told from the previous administration here.
No, it got annexed because of emergency services downtown.
But okay, but anyway, I'm going to tell you about court. I got a notice I have to appear in court. I called today, and the guy was almost hesitant to talk to me because I said to him, where is it? This is the first time I'm ever hearing it. Where is it? He said, well, it's on the Howell website. I said, well, I'm never on the Howell website. It's not on the street. It's not posted anywhere. I mean, I'm going through every which way I can explain where would it possibly be posted to anyone to know better. He just said, it's not. I don't think there is anything. So I said, well, I have to appear in court. He said, well, it's to pay your fine, which would be from $150 up to $2,000. And he said that could be for the first offense. The last time I went to court for a ticket, it was in Montville, New Jersey, for supposedly going through a stop sign or rolling through it. When I got there was 84 people that day, supposedly, who made that mistake. The ticket was $55 and 2 points. I'm a delivery driver for a printing company for 30 years. I can't get points. Either it's my insurance and theirs. So you go in, you meet with the officer and the prosecutor, and they knock down the charge. And you go into the court, and everybody pays the fine plus a court fee. So that non-payment of $55 and not getting 2 points turned into $185. I can't, for any reason, find whatsoever that basketball being in on the curb where there's 4.5 feet of snow out, that the plows came down the center of the street, has anything to do with having to have an ordinance anywhere that I can even visibly see regularly, or anything for that matter, of having to pay this ticket. I got so freaked out. I'm trying to be calm, but I'm really upset about this because it's really unjustified. I called News 12 New Jersey today. I called New Jersey 1015. I tried to get a hold of the Asbury Park Press. I'm trying to get a hold of anybody anywhere that will listen to me. News 12 New Jersey seemed to be very interested, and they said they're going to investigate it and they'll call me back tomorrow. 1015 didn't really understand what I was saying, but I think it's ridiculous. For a ticket for this, I don't understand. We live in this town. I moved in, my taxes were $3,900. Now they're $9,000 a year on top of the gas, the garbage collection that goes up, my sewer bill, which I can't understand why I have a sewer bill, but there was $2 million in the sewer fund, but that went to Memorial Drive. And there were supposed to be lights put up on that street, but that never happened. In August of 2006, about the same time the road opened, my son and his friends in the neighborhood were on that street playing. They shouldn't have been there to begin with, but my neighbor's daughter was grabbed and pulled into the woods. She fought him off. I ran in with the other 5 fathers and to find somebody who we never even found. The cop showed up and took a report. That's about as far as I went. So this is crazy. Whoever started this, where does this money go to? I mean, you have an ordinance, you can't have this. Then I would find out today, if you've got snow on your property, but it rained today, so it did go down a bit. If your Christmas lights are still out there, now you're going to be ticketed and fined for that. So if you have a house with anything in front of it, regardless if you own the house, you're paying your taxes on time, you have anything out there, I mean, what's stopping from anything? I mean, if you're not selling drugs or guns or something, I understand. I mean, that's, you're not violating any kind of thing that disturbs anybody. So I don't understand where this even comes from, who thought of it, and just, why? I couldn't even get in touch with you guys today. The phone just rings and rings and rings, and then it just was busy from 12 to 5 to 5.
Well, I'll take the first shot.
Yeah, and you live around the corner from me.
and I'm very familiar with the basketball nets. You asked, where does the money go?
I want to know, first of all, who thought of this?
Hold on.
Let me answer your questions in order.
He's going to answer.
Okay.
You asked me where the money goes. The money is going to go to offset some of the damage that we incurred from salters that sucked up basketball courts. That is where that's going, because it's a fact that we damaged our equipment as a result of basketball nets that overhang into the street.
I got another question.
Hold on.
Okay, all right. All right.
It's an ordinance that we didn't create. We did create the one last year relative to removing cars off the street.
Yeah, there's the car on Jacob Drive that's been there for about, I don't know how long, but the plows went around
Sure,
it.
he has a ticket.
I would assume he got a ticket.
But the car, when I left to come here today, I went home, first came home, the car's still there.
Okay.
Even on that street, they put that street in with Memorial Drive. Now when the school bus comes in, people are coming out, and you've got those cars parked. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get out.
Sir,
Yeah,
sir, it's one of the difficulties. Nobody up here feels good about any citizen of Howell Township getting fined, okay? But the bottom line is this. We have received numerous emails, numerous phone calls for years and years. And in order for us to plow these roads in the most timely, cost-effective way that we can for the citizens of Howell Township as a whole, we need the roads cleared when we plow.
I understand.
Okay, well, we need the roads cleared when we plow. It has been advertised in the Messenger, which would go to every household in New Jersey. It's been talked about in these chambers 8 to 10 times that I know of. It's been on the Howell Township website. It's been in the Howell Times. I mean,
every time I've gotten those papers in the last couple of months, they're soaking wet, and they go right in the garbage can.
Well, I have a good paper guy. He wraps it twice. But, you know.
Did you get a code red call, sir?
No. That's what the guy at the municipal court asked me. He said, what about your code red call?
Well, no, it's not our responsibility to let you know. But it was, as the mayor said, when it was introduced, it was in the newspapers. There was a public hearing on it. It was in the messenger mail twice. It was on the website. It was sent for anyone who has signed up for emails, and it was part of the code red. So I think that, in all truth of the matter, I think that we tried to notify people as many ways as possible.
I'm asking. It's not physically like writing on a sheet of paper, a street sign, a banner.
Oh, we'd have to put it all over town.
I know that, but I'm just saying, there's nothing physically to let anybody know.
Well, there is. We have a code book, an ordinance book.
Do I have the code book?
It's online.
It's on. But do I know that?
No, but when laws are passed,
I live in this town. Going into the Howell website, I'm working 2 jobs. So I don't usually, in my running around.
Unfortunately,
sir, we all understand your frustration. We all do. Okay? We have an obligation to pass laws that do the best that it possibly can for all the residents of the town. It's not, if we had to run into major complication from parked cars being in the streets during storms, from basketball courts and other things being in the street during storms, from boats being in the streets during storms.
I understand. I understand.
Okay. If we hadn't run into those kind of things, these laws would have never been put into effect. Okay? People don't know that you need to shovel your sidewalk. Well, you know what? When you have 3 foot of snow, if kids have to get to the school bus, where are they supposed to walk?
Yeah. That's right. So it's all clean.
Okay. Everyone's supposed to shovel their sidewalk. I mean, we have to put the public safety overall first.
Okay.
Has to be first.
Yeah.
These rules and these laws have been put in place to put the safety of the people of Howell Township first.
And the safety of the workers, because those basketball hoops has...
But it's just the way it is. And nobody said, believe me, I've had numerous calls.
I know. Talking to my wife today, the Howell message board is like, they've actually shut down that board because it's just too many people complaining.
They didn't shut down.
Okay, all right. So I was told when I get home at 6:30.
Believe me, I've gotten calls from dear friends, and I'm sorry. I really don't want to see
but I'm saying it's not in the street.
I don't want to see financial hardship on anybody. Okay? But I don't want to see financial hardship come to the citizens of Howell Township either because of it. So, I mean, my neighbor 2 doors down had a very legitimate reason that his car was in the street. He gave it away to not-for-profit, the agencies. They were supposed to come 2 days before the storm, and they never came. And that was the God's honest truth. The not-for-profit agency was there last week, picking up the car. What are we supposed to do? I mean, say it was on Memorial Drive and we can't get in, okay, because somebody leaves their boat.
I understand. A car is much larger than a basketball hoop. It's in off the street. It's on from where the sidewalk is on the grass. It's not in the street. The plows came down. For every time they came down, in fact, the last time they came down was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I actually went outside to see which way they're going. Still, they came down the center of the street. They didn't touch the curb on either side, and there wasn't anywhere. They could have gone in if they want to, but they did not.
What would you like us to do, sir?
I'd like this to go away. I really want this to go away because it's
I'd like the basketball hoops to go away.
Between November 1st and March.
I'd like the basketball hoops to go away. And that doesn't appear to be happening because we keep
there's
managing equipment.
between the Bora and on your street. There's one up. There's mine. I tried to move it. It's frozen to the ground. The bottom. It must have 100 gallons of water in it. I tried budging it. My son and I push it. I can't get it to move. The only thing it did was drop down. I almost caught my hand in the release. You can make it up higher or lower.
At a certain point, we all have to take responsibility for, and I understand I understand your concern. Believe me, and the specifics of it are going to have to be an issue not for this body, but for the other body.
Okay, let me ask you. I talked to somebody today who's going to remain anonymous because they asked me to. Are there 74 homes on foreclosure in Howell?
How many?
74.
Oh, I think there's a lot more.
Maybe a lot more than that. All right, because I was so told that there's basically it's like an inside. You're not collecting property taxes on it. So I'm just telling you what somebody told me.
Whoa.
All right, I'm asking you. Can I? That's what I'm asking. Is this guy full of crap, or
Excuse me.
Yes, he is.
The ordinance says the ordinance was passed in 1974. It was amended in 2000 in April of 2000. Your basketball hoop must be off by November 1st. So guess what? You had till December 26th or whenever you got your ticket to remove your basketball hoop.
Last Friday. This is the
It was not
first.
done.
So help me God, I swear, I've never heard of it until I got this in the mail.
I understand that, but from November 1st to March 31st, they have to be off. There are people, believe it or not, that adhere to the law. Okay?
I would too if I knew about it.
Well, every time we pass a law, we can't. It's published.
But
we can't call you. It's not practical.
I know you don't call me, but what I'm saying is there's nothing physical. If there's curb your dog and all that stuff. But I mean I know things cost money. But I don't know. I'm expecting somebody to come ringing your doorbell or the police to come down the street and make announcements.
And who's going to pay the tax to pay the people to do that?
That's all right.
You're going to be, but then you're going to be up here complaining that your $3,900 in tax that went to $9,000 went to $9,050 because I have to pay.
It went up $100
because I have to pay somebody else to knock on everybody's door every time it snows.
So we're all sorry. We all are, but it is the law. And it's for the betterment of all the citizens of Howell Township. Okay, it's. I mean, I feel a little bit off the hook that my neighbor 2 doors down got a ticket put on his car. So nobody could say, in the mayor's neighborhood, nobody got fined. Okay? I'm actually thrilled I got a puddle in front of my house.
Okay. Listen.
This is the way it is. I'll be honest with you. This will be discussed again. And I don't think this governing body, if I understand what I'm hearing from them, if I'm a decent listener, is going to change this law, because our job is to do things so it best serves all the citizens of Howell Township. I mean, this law's been on the books since 1974. It was amended in 2000. I mean, the only thing that hasn't happened, truthfully, sir, is you weren't fined a few years ago.
I never heard of it just till Friday.
Okay.
All right.
God bless you, sir. Thank you very much for coming. Anybody else from the public? Mr. Cohen. Mr. Cohen.
Thomas J. Cohen. I'm the managing director of the Monmouth Athletic Center. Mayor, a couple things about the affordable housing. I think that being in this forum and watching the town work on this over the last 4 years, the town's been the most diligent community in Monmouth County to meet their requirements, and I think the council should absolutely fight any increase in affordable housing requirements, because towns have disregarded it and you haven't, and you shouldn't be penalized for that.
Yeah, well, when Councilman DeCastro mentioned that increase, kind of a pit went down my stomach, but that'll be addressed at another day, and not with him, okay? But that will be addressed at another day.
Yes, sir. I came again to talk about the 208 plan that the county is changing. I was here on January 4th. Since then, I met with Jessica Kubita at the Monmouth County Planning Board. They will still accept letters if the council is willing to understand that the wetlands delineations that we have done, the wetlands will not be included in the 208 plan or the buffers, just the upland parts of the property. We'd like to deal with it now. That's why we've applied to the county, so that it doesn't come up later on at site plan and give us issues at that point in time. When the zoning was changed, the 208 plan was not changed because this is now the forum in which to do it. So that's why we did apply to the county to expedite us through the site plan process and give us flexibility. We'd rather not use porta-johns on the property in the back areas where we're not in the 208 plan.
Ms. Kingdon, help us out here. Even though he sounds like he's speaking the truth, is it truthful? Nothing like being point blank about it.
Is he truthful about what he wants?
County still accepting letters?
If I haven't heard that from Jessica Kubita, but I haven't asked her if she's still accepting letters. I can certainly do that.
When is the public hearing?
They haven't scheduled one yet.
They haven't scheduled it yet.
No.
All right, why don't we make this short and sweet, okay? What's the will of the governing body here? Anybody? I mean, me personally, I believe that there is no issue with putting bathrooms in the uplands, but that's me. I don't want to argue with Councilwoman Smith. Whatever she feels is fine. The rest of you, any opinions, anybody? Anybody?
My opinion is it's not incumbent for Ms. Kingdon to have to call the county to see that they're still accepting the letters. I would say, which sounds like you're doing your due diligence, to continue doing your due diligence, get the information to Mrs. Kingdon, get the information to the governing body, and that's how we should move forward. We did have a hearing. We went through this, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. There was another developer here, Farmer Brown. So obviously people who opposed knew about it. Unfortunately, you weren't here, but I'm not, that's neither here or there. From my standpoint, continue doing your due diligence. I don't want to see Ms. Kingdon have to do and call, the county. You're saying they still accepting letters. She hasn't heard that. I think it's upon you to make sure that the county calls. And I think that's how we should move.
Well, I mean, at our meeting, Mr. Mayor, she did say that the letters were actually due on December 3rd, and you didn't even have the hearing till the 14th. We really were.
I think that date, we did know that.
Yeah, but let's not go to that one because we knew that there was an extension.
Yes, there was an
from when they
extension.
would take letters from us.
But
we knew that.
Yes.
Okay, we knew that the deadline was December 3rd. They knew there wasn't a meeting. We weren't having another meeting till December 14th, I believe.
That's correct. And I don't think that the applicant has submitted anything new to Mrs. Kubita. Am I correct? Other than what I've given everybody before. I think you had sent me all of the submissions, and I then forwarded them to the governing body. If you want to put this on for a discussion and then ask that Mr. Cohen come back, you can certainly do that. If you want to review it, or if you want to poll your governing body right now.
I just asked them what their thoughts are. It's up to them. I mean, for me.
I just, Councilman Nicastro brought up the point of basically the due diligence and not getting the information. And I just want to make sure that procedurally I'm correct, because I remember some time ago during this process getting information about this. This is not something all of a sudden today or after. In fairness to Mr. Cohen, I don't think this was something that we all of a sudden, he missed the meeting, all of a sudden we said, oh, that's right, now we're getting additional information. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but we had it before? Procedurally?
We had Farmer Brown's submissions since September.
Mm-hmm.
We had Mr. Cohen's a little bit later, we discussed the hearings at the county level at our meetings and said, here's when we're going to schedule, here's the date that we're going to discuss this in further detail, because I'm going to need to give a letter to the county at a drop-dead date. So we decided, because I spoke to Jessica, we hadn't gotten that letter from the county until maybe it was December 3rd we got the letter from the county. The time frame for us to respond was maybe a 24-hour turnaround from getting the letter to getting it to the governing body, which is why she gave us until the 15th, because our meeting was on the 14th.
So how did the applicants know? I'm just asking.
How did they know about what?
That we were having a meeting December 14th to discuss it.
All we did was put it on as a discussion item because we
So we
did.
put it on discussion. We did not notify the applicant.
We did no. All we had to do was put it on as a discussion item because we didn't have to hold a public hearing. This was not a formal process that we had to do. We decided that as a governing body, what we wanted to do was make sure that this was an open process because it's such a sensitive topic. We didn't want any decisions to be made behind closed doors. We wanted to make sure everybody understood what was happening. Everybody had the applications. Everybody had the information. And if anybody had any objections to it, concerns about it, whatever it was, whatever direction the governing body gave me on the 14th, regardless of who showed up or didn't show up, whether they knew or not or they didn't know, this is what we were going to do.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that he wasn't notified and just disregarded. Okay? That's all. I'm just.
TJ, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we had a conversation about.
But the only hearing we held was for Farmer Brown, which started at a.
It wasn't a hearing.
Well, we listened to his case.
Because his attorney
Okay,
appeared.
because he came early. He was here for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
He started. The reason I was more willing to listen is because I thought we started talking about a technicality, and that led into another conversation. But we have not entertained any conversations from any developer relative to writing letters or including anybody in our plan that is now at the county level.
Correct. Now, understand, there are only 3 applicants that made submissions. So this isn't like this governing body had any discussions about it other than what was before them. And your conversations were essentially held on the dais on the 14th. And here's your information. If anybody else showed up, then we would have certainly allowed them to speak because they have the right to during public comment. But it wasn't a hearing. We simply allowed the attorney for Farmer Brown to speak because we wanted him to be heard. And he put his name down on the list. And
He put his name down, and they weren't notified either. Okay, just saying. Listen, I have no issues. Whatever everybody wants. I mean, it's a governing body. Okay.
I just don't think it's necessary. I think we've already been down this road. We followed what we were told to follow. It's already in the process of being reviewed. You have an avenue to go and have your point heard, which you're doing. I don't know the reason why we would even entertain it at this point.
Okay, let's simplify this. He has a piece of property. Governing body rezoned it. Okay? A lot of different reasons, but a lot of things that were said about there being environmental issues on the property are not true unless we don't want to believe the wetlands delineation that he received from the state. So a lot of the reasons.
Let's make sure we understand that wetlands are not the only environmental issues that exist.
Okay. Do we have any other environmental? I don't think we had any other environmental issues really on this property, but it's okay. For me, I have no issue. Okay. I don't like us in needless litigation, but it's okay with me. Whatever the governing body wants is fine with me. Me personally, you know, I don't see what the big fuss is, but it's okay with me. You know, it's approved to go there. It's a difference of whether he puts a toilet on the, 48 acres?
Yes, sir.
On this acre or another acre. It's not well and septic, like we're putting a septic field in environmentally sensitive area. It's whether or not we're letting a plumber run a plumbing line. I mean, let's cut to the chase of what it really is.
There's a lot more to it than that.
And if the toilet's on this side of the building or that side of the building, to me, it's just not a huge issue. It really isn't. That's all.
But in fairness, I don't know that. And I wasn't involved when Mr. Cohen came before either the zoning board, planning board, or the council. So my comments as to why I don't think it's necessary don't necessarily pertain to your application, unfortunately. It pertains to the fact that I don't, we didn't do it for anybody else. And
Yes, we did. We did. it for-
Yes, we did.
well, and
And we didn't give notice. I mean, I understand your point, but I just, regardless of what our decision is, ultimately, you know, the two things for me is, number one, being fair to everybody, you know, and making that decision. Number two, I do think that hearing from me, you know, hearing how, if they still want information from us, I mean, let's try to get ultimately to the bottom line and make a decision. And, you know, if the will of the governing body is to just say, nope, sorry, you didn't get notice, you didn't know it was here, so we're just not going to entertain this. I don't know, ultimately, looking at it from just being fair, if that's fair to anybody. I mean, if you want to, people want to come and have an opinion, I mean, I think they, particularly on this big issue, they should be allowed to, but I think we need to vote on the direction.
Somebody make a motion.
Well, Mayor, before you do that, I mean, I don't even know what the motion is, because quite honestly, I mean, as the newest, the member here, and I did sit on executive when certain things were talked about, but we got a package. You know, I don't know how much detail was in it. I still don't even know the whole case. And now I'm being asked to approve something that, you know, you're coming here and saying that you want us to support a letter to the county. So, in all fairness to me, I need more information because I don't have any information.
Mr. Castro, come on, Councilman. You were on the planning board and voted on this.
No, Mayor, I voted on inconsistency. I didn't hear the case. The planning board did not hear the case. So, there's a difference of what the planning board voted on and what the zoning board voted on. So, we were tasked to say whether there was a consistency with the master plan. That's what we voted on. We didn't hear any facts on the on anything else.
Can I make?
And quite honestly, I didn't follow this case. I didn't have much interest in this case. So, with the zoning board. So I don't know much.
Okay, well, I make a motion to direct, our town attorney to just. I just want to hear from procedurally from Jessica.
Yeah, you don't even have to make a motion. What you can do is just ask me to contact Jessica, find out if there's any, if she is accepting letters from other municipalities, I could do that. And then I will resubmit to everybody what I've received from TJ. Or not.
But that
I
would
have-
mean we would have to add it on as an agenda item at a future meeting to discuss.
If
because
you
we
wanted,
couldn't-
if you wanted to do that.
And we'll know that based on what you provide to us.
If you decide that you want to do that, you can do that. If you decide not to add it on, then you decide not to add it on, and you don't have to take any further action. But if you decide to, here's your information,
Okay.
and then you could direct us whether or not to put it on the agenda.
And it's not, you're saying it's not a requirement. I mean, I'm saying I'm making a motion, that's at the direction of
Right.
the mayor. This
Correct.
is not
Right. I
the
didn't want you to-
process.
I didn't want you to think that that you have to take any formal action, but just so that everybody understands procedurally where we are. I'll contact Jessica
with that.
if any, or not.
I have no, Liz, I want information, that's all. So if that's fair, then I think that's fair to get the information.
In all fairness, I don't know anything about that project, other than I know where it is, what it is. I don't know what areas or in what sections. I don't know anything about sewers. I honestly can't vote in favor of supporting any letter unless I knew what that was. So if that's the path to go and do that, I would be fine with doing that.
That's it. You have your direction.
Thank you.
Do you?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Council.
Mr. Should we take 2 minutes? Members of the public? Mr. Koskin.
John Costigan, 214 Birds Hall Road. I was very glad to hear Mr. Filiatro mention, and then Mrs. Clark ask him, am I going to be able to pay my taxes direct deposit? That's my question.
No, we're not projecting direct deposit at this point in time. You will be able to go in and use your credit card for air miles.
I give a check now. All right, that's all. Well, then, I asked about a year and a half ago over at the tax collector's office, because it's a lot easier for me.
Mr. Koskin, into the mic, please. So
Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
Yeah, just so they
Won't
pick
let
you
that
up.
happen again.
Don't let it happen again, Mr. Koskin.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to be able to pay direct deposit, and the benefit to it is this: you get the money out on the first of whatever. You can draw interest. Granted, there's not a lot of interest now, but you can draw some interest from those people that would be willing to do that. You might get a few extra dollars in interest over and above the actual real property taxes, which will benefit the town. So that's my reasoning for asking. I asked it about a year and a half ago, and I did ask it the last time I was paying my taxes.
I would love to see us
No.
be able to take credit cards,
Yeah.
direct withdrawal,
Yeah,
the
but,
whole ball of wax.
but you have to come in to give the credit card, you have to come in to give a check. This goes automatic. Well, first day of the month, not the 12th or
At
9th.
this moment,
Yes, sir.
Eventually, you'll be able to pay your taxes with a credit card from your house.
yeah, at this moment.
Okay.
This is a work in progress, Mr. Koskin. We're hoping by March 1st,
February 1st.
February 1st?
In person, yes.
Okay.
February 1st in person, then there'll be next steps.
I'll come in with a check anyway.
There
Actually,
are-
it's more money for you because you're not going to get,
Thank you for wasting my
Okay.
airspace.
Mr. Mayor, there are security concerns with the computer system as far as having banking information and personal information of people that we have not, been able to surmount, and that's why we do not do direct deposit.
nah, that's a good reason. All right, the only other question I have, oh, by the way, I agree, Mr. Anfuso and Mr. Bowden are very capable and competent professional people from Colts Neck. So I'm glad that you're going to do something towards that end on the water. And the only other thing is there a time frame for when the council's going to be dealing with the solar part of the master plan? I don't even want to use the word solar and farms in the same sentence, so that's why I'm trying to avoid that.
Our manager has been looking into
Okay.
and interviewing many people now over the last 6 to 8 months, correct, Ms. Schrader?
I'm actually working on that. I actually just have to get a few definitions, like the state, make sure the state definitions match our definitions of solar farm, send it to a few of our professionals and some members of the Planning and Zoning Board, Environmental Commission, anybody else who wants a copy.
We need some clarification.
It's got to go.
I just,
Yeah.
there's a lot out there,
Yeah.
and I've looked at a lot of different ordinances, and it's a function of, well, right now we could do this, which will be initially a quick fix with some pretty, sound guidelines in terms of setbacks and buffers and what have you. But there are some other things that I can tell by looking at the legislation that we're going to have to deal with maybe at a later date, but we're going to have to address.
Well, we do recognize that it's important to get this moving,
Yeah.
as we leave ourselves open. And
Well, the state
wanna
does
address
allow
that.
some of them without whether or not we have the regulations in place, so.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Koskin. It's time to close the public portion of the meeting. We're going to take a couple-minute break. I'd like to reconvene the meeting.
Thank you.
I want to go on record that it was not me that drove by the firehouse.
All right.
Okay.
Pull the tape.
Another good-looking guy maybe drove by in a red Chevy Avalanche.
Oh, yeah, must have been.
Okay. Where we at? All right, we have add-ons tonight, correct? 7A8, Lisa Police Cars, 7A9, which is resolution of the Town Council of the Township of Howell appointing Ernest Bongiovanni, Marriott Callahan, and Scott Keneally of Stark Kelly, Bauer, Keneally, and Cunningham as special counsel to specific and limited purposes set forth in this resolution. Okay, they're just carrying some cases that they already had that would have been detrimental to the town.
One was a conflict of interest, one the timeframes didn't allow us to transfer it.
Okay, so they were add-on 7A8 and 7A9?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion, they be added on.
Okay.
Second that motion.
You want to make a motion to adopt them all?
We all, okay, would you just amend it, please, 7B2? We have to accept the resignation?
Oh, no, that says to remove it from the agenda.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, remove that, please.
That's the, along with that, remove that from the agenda.
All right, so we're moving 7B2 and adding 7A8 and 7A9, correct?
So he didn't
Yes,
resign?
that's correct.
Correct.
Okay. We have motion and a second. We have roll call, please, Ms. Woman.
Mrs. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Gatto?
This is to add these on?
Yes.
Yes.
And remove.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Walsh?
Yes. Okay. Anybody from the governing body?
Did 7A1 get revised to match up the,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
To match up what?
There, our local fee ordinance was changed, and the interlocal didn't reflect that, so we changed the interlocal agreement.
So that the numbers
Dollar
of the
amounts
fees
were-
match.
I
Yes.
did confirm with Chief Carter that that was the intent of the interlocal.
Okay.
Okay?
Just wanted the folks at home to know.
Relative to 7A8, I don't have any intention of going against what anybody in the town recommended for cars, either the chief or the DPW supervisor for vehicles. But I guess I would appreciate, if it was a timing thing, that's fine. But when we're going to approve or vote on a $350,000 item, I think we just need a little more of an opportunity to be able to ask questions. And it doesn't always need to be done at a council meeting. I don't want to nitpick it to death, that's not the intent, but when we get something this substantial, I think we just need a little bit more time to really know what we're
Yeah,
buying.
no problem. We would have originally, just so you understand, we would originally have put this on for a discussion item, prior to this. However, we felt that because of the time frame and the importance, obviously, of getting the police cars quick enough, we had also felt that you guys had quite a bit discussed the
Yes, we
the
had.
police cars. So that's why we weren't so concerned that it got put on again. But I do understand what the dollar amount that,
Yeah, I mean, it's just when you
Absolutely.
give us an option list, it kind
The
of,
specs.
We got a big
Absolutely.
ticket item. We
Sure.
wanted a little bit earlier.
unfortunately, we were under a time frame for this lease.
now this is for the lease purchase of the vehicles themselves, and was there also a conversation about having to go and award a contract for the leasing itself? Is that done?
It was a two-part bid, or I don't know if you really want to use the term, it wasn't really a bid, but Jeffrey, you want to explain? We had to go out for the cars, but then we had to also go out for the lease.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a two-part resolution within there. It's authorizing the purchase under the state contract for the purchase of the police cars. We don't have the money in the bank, so the financing form is that you're authorizing the manager to sign the lease.
Understand.
As long as I don't have to sign it, I'm fine with Ms. Schlegel signing it.
I still think that we should question the undercoating. That ends up being approximately $5,000. And with,
The question really is whether we need it or not. The undercoating price is a state bid price that we can't negotiate or change.
well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm
It's
talking about,
either
do we
we
need
should
it or
have it or
not?
don't.
And since the undercarriage is all galvanized and the rest of the car is plastic, and you heard what Don, and he knows what he's talking about. And it's true, I've seen the car restored older cars. The first thing they do is knock out that undercoating because it just holds the water. I don't see any purpose to it. Can't we do something about questioning it at least,
Well, certainly,
without holding anything up?
I think, well, that's the problem. The cutoff date for the Ford Crown Victorias is March 1st. And so, timing does become an issue here.
I have heard they're going to make them again in a couple of
The
years.
undercoating was a recommendation from the vehicle maintenance department. And, it is state contract price, so.
But it's also common myth about undercoating. Maybe if we put some facts in front of them, and I'm not saying don't vote on it tonight, but
Okay, but in the future,
I think
you
moving
know,
forward.
I'll agree with Councilwoman Smith here. In the future, I mean, have Frank give us a little explanation on why he wants this there. I mean, is he the one who recommended it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, tell him the governing body would like an explanation. That we're not mechanics, but there seems to be some dissenting views about this, and we'd like a little explanation, okay?
Could I change the figure if I needed to? Oh, no. Okay.
All right, just so we know, direction of the governing body, from now on, we want a little bit on that, if we have to do anything about this in the future. Okay, everybody?
Yes.
If we approve this, when will these cars be here? Do we know, approximately?
We don't have they have 60 days in which to deliver, right?
the time
So
we
it would
pass?
be no longer than 2 months.
But then they have to go to a conversion company in order to get built
Yes,
out.
the conversion company would come here, and their computers and their light bars and everything get moved from the old cars to the new cars.
All right.
Anybody else?
No, sir.
Do I have a motion? Add 7B1 into there, 7B2, 7B2 disregard. So 7B1 and 7A1 through 9.
So move, Mayor.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Can I have a roll call, please, Ms. Woolman?
Yes, Mayor, I didn't add 7B1 as a consent item in case you did want to make the appointment a replacement to the shade tree member. So 7B1 is not on consent.
Okay.
If you're not ready to make the appointment, we certainly can add it to consent and just remove the member.
Well-
Councilwoman, are we ready to make the appointment?
there was a recommendation that someone be moved up, an alternate be moved up. I didn't bring the email with me, but
Yeah,
maybe
no,
somebody
I'm
else
not-
has it.
Let's appoint who they recommended. I don't have the name. Do we have the name?
Well, how about we move 7A1 to 8, and then do 7B1 as a separate,
7A1 and 9.
sorry, 7A1 to 9.
Okay. Councilwoman, second, 7A1 and 9.
Second.
Give me a roll call, please, Ms. Woolman.
Mrs. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Walsh?
Yes. 7B1, did you get that name, Ms. Woolman?
Rhonda Fletcher be changed from an alternate member to a regular member.
That's right.
Okay.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a roll call, please, Ms. Woolman.
Mrs. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Walsh?
Yes. 7C1's up for discussion. Not too much. Do you want me to join this New Jersey Conference of Mayors? I just think it's a little bit, some good ideas come out of it, and I think it may help us with maybe some grants or some other things in Howell Township, but I just don't know. Whatever the governing body's wishes, I'm fine with.
I don't think it's necessary. We get notification from the league, we get information, and I think it's $1,000 or $1,100 that could be better spent.
$1,250, I believe, is the
Oh,
number.
that makes it even worse, or better, however you look at it.
And what's the period of time? I know that's
yearly.
1 year. Mr.
Doesn't
Mayor,
make a difference to me.
there is a newly elected freeholder, I think, who is very active, has been very active, and I have to say, in conversations, listen, $1,250 is not something I've always, when it's come to budget, said no way to a lot of things, but I've heard from individuals who've been involved, who participated, some good things that have happened. I've not talked to you personally about it. I don't know if you want to do it or not, but that person in particular, it helped out his town. So I really think that it's something, although I don't want to spend the money, I think it's something that could benefit us, and any ideas, any information we can get would be beneficial.
That's where,
But how could,
Phil
I'm sorry.
Darnone is the one who told me, he said, Bobby, really, Hal's missing out. Okay, and part of the reason it's missing out is some of the exchanges that come have benefited a lot of the mayors in these towns.
And
So for me, I will do it. But if the governing body says no, I don't mind not doing it either.
Well, I mean, we are a large town, and Freehold Arnone was from a smaller town and made that commitment, and some really good things happened. Not to say that we aren't by ourselves coming up with some good ideas, but I think our voice being heard and our involvement, given we are a larger town in New Jersey, is important.
No, I would agree. But I also try to reach out to Tom, and I did look at their website, and I try to balance in my head what's the return on the investment on 1250. I mean, let's face it, the state wants us to rub 2 dimes together and get a quarter, so we're watching every penny. If I really thought that we could get something back from the taxpayers, I'd say go for it. This year, I just think what the challenges we're facing, I mean, every penny has to count. I don't know the return on the investment for the taxpayers. I mean, the mayor's not shy. He gets out there and he gets the information. He speaks to a lot of mayors. So I don't think that's going to stop whether he's a member or not a member. But it's just a tough pill to swallow when I look at their website, and it really doesn't say what they really do or what you get for it. And, I'm just thinking of the citizens and what we're facing. So, tough pill.
I wish I could tell you what the return on the investment would be, but I also know you got to watch being penny wise and dollar foolish. And I couldn't sit here and tell you that spending $1,250 that I could sit up here next January and tell you it was well spent money. If we spend it, I may sit here next January and say, my recommendation is we don't spend the money again. But whatever you would like. If you would like me to represent the town in the Conference of Mayors, I will. If you say not to join, I won't join. And yes, Councilman McAllister, you said one thing that's been said about me for many, many years. I am not shy.
Nope.
Okay, there is no doubt about that. So, but whatever the governing body wishes, I'm perfectly fine with. I understand we are in financial constraints like I don't think the state of New Jersey has seen in a long, long time. I just don't think it's going to get any better, though, either. Well, whatever you would like to do, I will. I am supportive of. So,
I'll go back to the needs and wants, and I want it, but I just don't think it's needed. So, if we could save the 1215 and do something better, which I hope this leads into, maybe we'll get a brief conversation with our CFO on how we're looking with the budget. And
or they're going to give it to him tonight.
I hope to get a little bit out of him.
Got a smile.
I mean, I'm kind of torn. I honestly don't know a lot about it. I do think it is of value, but I also do think that it does send a good message that we're trimming wherever possible. So I think I'm inclined to say no, but I would like to continue to try to develop some information on it, because the reality is we can do this anytime we want. So
I can go down and bluff, as if I am a member. I can. I mean, let's cut to the chase.
Well,
and I've heard you've been there before.
Yeah, I do know how to act as if.
Well, it can't be a secret now that you've told everybody. I mean, come on.
Nobody else watches
No
this.
other mayors watching.
Nobody else is watching. Listen, I know we're searching for different ways to trim costs and receive money. I just want to throw it out there, and it came from Freehold Arnone.
Yeah, and
that's where it really came from.
And I think,
I would have been negligent if I didn't bring it up.
Absolutely.
Governing body.
and lastly, he represents a much at the time smaller town, right? And we have a large town. We have a lot of people. Our representation, I think, is important. And that being said, I'm hoping, based upon his comments and his advice on this, that it would be useful, and we reconsider it down the road. But I'm in favor of it.
But you haven't told us exactly what. I haven't heard all this.
Yeah,
I haven't heard exactly one example of how it would help us.
Well, it helps us with the ability to look for funding. It helps us ability with figure out what other mayors have done on shared services. When I know,
I think we're already working on those things.
absolutely are. We're working on it in this town. But when you have a group of mayors together that are in a common situation and come up with different ideas outside the town is also helpful as well. So that being said,
I'm not sure, but we all know how it works also. Having another voice in Trenton from a powerful group, which the group of mayors are. I mean, it's a very powerful group. It doesn't hurt. And Councilwoman, I don't disagree with you. It may not help. I don't listen. I threw it out there. I have no issue. If you say no, stay in your Chevy Avalanche and stay in Howell Township, I will.
But stay loud.
Yeah.
Can I?
I'll stay in Howell Township. I don't have any issues.
And speaking about, and I know we want to move them along, but just the issue of being vocal on, I know we've taken a stance on the district and the redistricting.
Absolutely, we have.
I know we've sent a letter, excellent letter. Is there anything else? I mean, these are the things that I think if we were involved, we may have more voice, but is there anything else we can do? I know we've all reached out to people that we know through government, and I just think anything we can do to do that. I know you've been...
I've been doing everything I can to get Howell redistricted into Monmouth County. Okay?
I mean, do we have to go?
It's one of those things I don't think the citizens of Howell will realize how important it will be if we get back into Monmouth County. The second largest town in Monmouth County is in a Senate Assembly district that's in Mercer and Middlesex County and Ocean County. It just doesn't make sense. The only town in Monmouth County in that district.
I guess we've been kicked out.
Well, I mean, there's public hearings. We could. Hey.
A lot of things. I have been allowed voice with our senators, our assemblymen, who I think the world of. I just don't think that Howell should be in that Senate Assembly district. That's all. I think we should be in Monmouth County Senate and Assembly district. I say it, joking around, and I'm very proud that Sheriff Golden was elected, but my real feelings are it's very sad that the second largest town in Howell Township, that's its first county elected official in 200 years. That is a sad statement for the second largest town in Monmouth County. It goes to show how little representation the citizens of Howell had on the county level. So we got to see how it goes. Things come into play. It's not we all know that politics doesn't always work right or wrong. Other things are reasons sometimes that things happen. Howell should be, and I will do everything I can to get us into the Monmouth County Senate and Assembly districts. I know the rest of the governing body will too. And it only happens once every 10 years.
I know.
So, believe me, I'm trying. It's one of those things that would be one of the best things that happened while I was in office here, and that will tell in the long run. So, I will gratefully not join the Conference of Mayors this year, though. No problem, folks. I like Trenton. There's some nice restaurants there, but I can stop by them when I go to pick my daughter up on the train when she comes home from college. How's that? Next on the agenda, 8A1. Amend fee ordinance. Ordinance number 0-11-1, introduced and passed on first reading on 1/4/11 and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration in public hearing. Affidavit of publication, this ordinance, the Asbury Park Press issue of 1/7/11 is submitted, is noted a copy. The ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in municipal building, and copies are available to the general public upon request. Ms. Woman, please read the title of the ordinance.
An ordinance amending Chapter 139 entitled Fees, Charges, and Costs of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell.
At this time, I'd like to open the meeting to the public. Anybody from the public like to comment on this ordinance? Going once, going twice. I'd like to close the public portion of the meeting. Would any council member like to speak about this?
No, sir, I just make a motion that ordinance number 0-11-1 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the January 21st, 2011 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a roll call, please, Ms. Woman.
Mrs. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Walsh?
Yes. 882. I'm trying to find it here in my book. What?
981.
981. That's why I can't find it in my book. 981. That's all we have. Do I have a member of the council? What do I need here? Ordinance, amend Chapter 124, by amending the drug-free school zone map in Section 124-1, and by amending the drunk driving free school zone map, Section 124-6.
Mayor, I make a motion to introduce ordinance number 0-11-2 on first reading by title and to order the same to be published in the January 21st, 2011 issue of the Asbury Park Press, together with notice of its introduction and passage on first reading by title, and that it will be further considered for final passage after public hearing at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on February 15th, 2011 at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time in the municipal building.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Rowley, please read the title of the ordinance.
An ordinance amending Chapter 124, Article 1, entitled Drug-Free School Zones, and Article 2, entitled Drunk Driving-Free School Zones of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell, and by amending the Drug-Free School Zone map in Section 124-1, and by amending the Drunk Driving-Free School Zone map in Section 124-6.
Have a roll call, please, Ms. Woman.
Mrs. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Walsh?
Yes. All right, we have a workshop meeting Tuesday, February 1st. Executive session at 6:30 and regular session at 7:30. On our regular meeting next month is Tuesday, February 15th, executive at 6:30, regular at 7:30. Anything else from anybody on the governing body?
No, sir.
Management?
No, sir.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move, Mayor.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Smith. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Walsh?
Yes, God bless you all and drive safe. Meeting's adjourned.